Okay. Hi, everybody. So my name's Adi, and I'm going to be talking to you today about a healthy gut that leads to a healthy, happy brain. And just so you know, I am not a doctor. This is purely based on my research because it's a topic that really interests me, being someone that's suffered with gut issues all my life and having people in my life that suffer with mood disorders. So it's a really important topic to me. And so I've done my research, and I encourage everyone else who's interested in this to do their own research too. So it's going to be very basic, and I'll try and not make it too sciencey. So Hippocrates said that all disease begins in the gut, which is amazing because we're learning more and more every day now that so many things are because of an unhealthy gut. So 1 in 5 people suffer from anxiety, depression, or both. And more doctors are looking to the gut for solutions to both anxiety and depression. And that's because more and more research is being done about the connection between gut problems and mood disorders. And so many people think that if you have a mood disorder, the problem exists in your brain. I know when I heard of people that had depression or anxiety, we always used to say, well, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. That's what we always used to think. We didn't think that it could actually be coming from your gut. But more and more now these days, we're actually addressing our gut to solve, to address our brain health. And there's this wonderful connection between the gut and the brain. And sometimes the source of your mood problems, if it's anxiety, depression, brain fog, PTSD, ADHD, is actually related to what's going on in your gut. And this connection between your gut and your brain is called the gut-brain axis. And the gut and the brain are like best friends. And like best friends, they communicate with each other all day. The gut talks to the brain talks to the gut. In fact, the gut actually talks more to the brain than the brain talks to the gut, but they talk to each other all day long. And like best friends, they are completely intertwined and they can influence each other's behavior. And so it becomes really important then when you're working on brain health, we also need to be looking at the gut. The brain and the gut are connected via 3 pathways. The first is the vagus nerve. The second is through our immune system. And the third is through neurotransmitters. And neurotransmitters are really important. And I don't want to go too much into the science behind neurotransmitters, but basically what they do is they are chemical messengers that take messages from one nerve to the other nerve. And they are used mostly in the brain. But did you know that these neurotransmitters, even though they're actually brain hormones, most of these brain hormones are made in our gut? So some key neurotransmitters that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. And the first one is serotonin. And this we know is our happy hormone. It affects our mood, it affects our focus, our sleep, our appetite, digestion, learning ability, and memory. But 90 to 95% of serotonin, which I'm just reminding you is a brain hormone, is made in our gut. Only 1 to 5% of serotonin is actually made and produced in the brain. And then there's dopamine, which is our feel-good hormone. This gives us pleasurable sensations, affects our mood, affects our learning, our memory, and our motor function. And 50% of dopamine is also made in our gut. And then there's Gaba, which is a really interesting neurotransmitter for me because it's largely linked to ADHD. And I have 3 boys which have been diagnosed with ADHD. And this is your calming hormone. And what Gaba does is reduces excitability. And it is also made in your gut. And then there are other neurotransmitters like oxytocin, which is our love hormone, and endorphins, which is our body's natural pain reliever, which are also made in the gut. And these all play an important part in how we feel. Therefore, I hope you're seeing that it's logical that if our gut is not in very good health, how this affects our brain health and our mood. and can lead to mood disorders. So let's summarize. So far, we have learned that we need a healthy gut to have a healthy brain, but we can't have a healthy gut unless we have a healthy microbiome. So what is our microbiome? Our microbiome is a collection of microorganisms that we can't actually see with the naked eye. We need a microscope to see these organisms, and they include bacteria, fungi, viruses, and even parasites, but mostly bacteria. And this microbiome covers us, our entire body, from the tip of our head right down to our toes. And it's on all our external surfaces. So you found our microbes on your skin, on your mouth, on a woman's vagina, but more importantly and mostly they're concentrated in our colon. And you may think, well, a colon's not an external surface, but if you think about your digestive tract, and your colon is connected all the way up through your mouth and all the way down through your anus. So actually it is exposed to the outside world. So it is, even though it's deep down in our bodies, it is considered an external surface. And these microorganisms, what we call microbes, are so important for assisting our digestion. They're also connected to our immune system, and they help protect our gut from infections. And one of the biggest causes of an unhealthy gut microbiome that can lead to chronic diseases and mood illnesses is something called a leaky gut. Another term for leaky gut is dysbiosis, which is a new term that they're now using for leaky gut. And this refers to a loss of balance within the gut microbes. So there are far more bad bacteria than there are good bacteria. So the bad guys outweigh the good guys. So there's not a very good balance. And the lining of our gut is only one cell layer thick. And all these cells are interconnected via something called tight junctions. So it's kind of like if you put your hands together like this, it's kind of, they're stuck together and they Velcro together tight. So nothing can get through your gut lining unless things that have to get through your gut lining, that are important to get through your gut lining. And what happens with leaky gut, when we have an unhealthy gut, when there's not enough diversity in your bacteria, or there's too many bad bacteria, it starts affecting the lining of your gut. And so these tight junctions start separating from each other, and they cause little holes in your lining. And so toxins and bits of food, undigested food, or mostly food proteins, can then sneak through and leak into your bloodstream. And then what happens when something gets into your bloodstream that's considered foreign, your body sees it as foreign, it attacks it, and it causes inflammation. And because all your immune cells are, and your inflammatory cells are all talk to each other, when you cause inflammation, firstly, it goes all the way through your blood, all through the vagus nerve, all the way to your brain. And a leaky gut causes a leaky brain. And then all these toxins and proteins from your food that hasn't been digested properly then enter your brain. And they have a huge effect on the serotonin and the dopamine in your brain and how your brain functions with these hormones. So I hope you're all starting to see this very important link. So what are the causes of leaky gut? So there are a number of things that can cause leaky gut. This can be as simple as eating the wrong foods or eating foods that your body is sensitive to. And one classic food that has a huge connection to leaky gut is gluten. And I know when I suffered with a leaky gut, when I removed gluten, I can't actually tell you how it improved my gut so much just by removing gluten from my diet. There is a connection with leaky gut to certain medications. And one of the biggies, as we know, is antibiotics. And we know that antibiotics destroy the good bacteria in our gut. And researchers from the Tel Aviv University looked at the health records of 1 million Britons over a period of 8 years to measure the correlation between antibiotic use and mood disorders. And they found that one single course of antibiotics actually increased the risk of becoming anxious or depressed by 25% for an entire year after taking that medication. And multiple rounds of antibiotics doubled that risk factor. And antibiotics are not just in our medication. In the food that we eat, there can be antibiotics. In our personal care products, there can be antibiotics. There is somewhere around 80,000 chemicals that an average individual comes into contact with, whether it's through your shampoos, your toothpastes, your cleaning products. And these have never been tested on human cells, and they are destroying our gut microbiome. Even the water we drink, a lot of our tap water is filled with chlorine and fluoride, and this is also destroying our gut microbiome. Another huge cause of leaky gut is stress. This can be emotional stress from day-to-day worries or mental strain to physical stress like infections in your gut, food sensitivities, chronic inflammation, and toxic exposure. So let's talk a little bit about stress. So you have a nervous system in your body called the autonomic nervous system, and I like to call it the automatic nervous system, just to remember what it does. So the automatic nervous system basically does everything that you don't need to think about. It's automatic. So your breathing and your digestion and your heartbeat, everything that you don't need to think about is all in your autonomic or automatic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system is divided into two different nervous systems. And the one is your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight nervous system. And the other one is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. So let's just say you're running away from a lion and the lion's chasing you and your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your breathing gets faster, you start sweating. And this is because your adrenals have started releasing a hormone called cortisol. So when you're running away from a lion, your body doesn't want to think about digesting your food. So your parasympathetic nervous system basically shuts down. And so we don't run away from lions every day, but day-to-day stresses and worry and chronic stress does exactly the same things in our body. And this increased level of cortisol in our bodies does the same thing. So we're constantly in fight or flight mode. And so there's not enough blood supply going to healing our gut. Our pancreas isn't going to release enough pancreatic enzymes to digest our food. And so our gut is going to be in a bit of a disastrous state. And that's why even when I was sitting and working on this presentation and I felt a little bit stressed, I automatically feel like my stomach feels or my gut feels uncomfortable, because that's just what it does. Your body shuts down so that you can fight or flight, and your gut gets neglected. And so over time, with constant stress, we are causing a huge amount of damage to our gut, which is causing in turn damage to our brain and our mood. So how do we heal a leaky gut? Healing a leaky gut is no simple matter. And when you're on this road to trying to heal your leaky gut, you have to be patient and you have to be consistent. But you have to know that our gut is resilient and we can repair it. So just because it's damaged, we can actually repair it to perfect state. They say that normally it takes 60 to 90 days to be able to repair your gut if your leaky gut is not so bad, or if you're young. But if you have really bad leaky gut, it can take up to a year to repair your gut. So you have to be patient and you have to be consistent. To fix the leaky gut, you need to restore your healthy microbe population in your gut. And besides eating a diet rich in fiber, which is very beneficial, in functional medicine, they talk about the 5 R's for healing a gut, which is remove, repair, replace, repopulate, and restore. So let's just talk about remove. So when you're healing your gut, the first thing you need to do is remove all the toxins. So remove the toxins from your food. Stop eating processed food and stop eating foods that you are sensitive to. You can remove gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol. You basically have to do like an elimination diet where you stop eating one thing at a time and see how that affects you and see how that changes. But definitely removing gluten would be my first suggestion when trying to heal leaky gut. And rather, when you're eating, rather shop for food that is organic and non-GMO, because if you're buying food that's not organic, it's going to be sprayed full of herbicides and pesticides, and those toxins are going to enter your gut and destroy your microbiome. So definitely try and eat organic food and also eat whole foods. So somebody once told me that when you go shopping, you need to stick to the perimeter of the shop and not move to the inside of the shop, because on the perimeter is where you buy all your good foods, all your whole foods. It's where all the fridges normally are. The more you move into the center of the shop, the more you're going to start buying the processed foods. So we need to stick to eating whole foods. And they actually say when you start trying to restore your gut, you should rather eat cooked vegetables at first and not raw vegetables, because raw vegetables are harder to digest than cooked vegetables. The second part is to repair our leaky gut. And we can take certain nutrients that can help calm and soothe and nourish our gut lining. And these include certain products like L-glutamine, which I had next to me, but it's now I left it in the other room. This really helps to repair the lining of the gut and to stop the leakiness of the gut. And then also I like to drink aloe juice. And when Ali talks, I'll just run and go fetch it and show you what it looks like. So that's all about repair. And now I'm going to hand over to Ali, who's going to tell you about the rest.
Hey everyone. So I get to talk about some cool stuff too. Let me share my screen real quickly here. And there we go. Okay, so let's talk about step 3, replace. So part of replacing is as we age and as we eat things that are not organic, we do not have enough digestive enzymes. And I know that you don't have digestive enzymes yet in South Africa, and many of you on this call are South African. I'm working on it, I promise you. Requested again this morning. But I cannot speak so highly enough about the importance of digestive enzymes, because what they do is they help break down the nutrients of our foods so that our bodies can actually absorb what we're eating, which is really the purpose of food should be for the nutrients in the food. And I know that's like a strange thing to say, but when I think about what I put in my body every day, I'm thinking to myself, am I getting enough healthy fats? Am I getting enough vitamins? Am I getting enough nutrients? Because that really should be the point of eating. It's not just to fill our stomachs or to taste good, but there should actually be a goal, which is providing nutrients to our bodies. So because as we age, the digestive enzymes in our body naturally decrease, and because so we have digestive enzymes that we are born with and that we make ourselves, and then our foods that we eat also have enzymes in them. But our bodies get depleted, and our soil and our vegetables and fruits are depleted from enzymes because of how we grow things now. So ideally, we would all be, growing in our gardens, all these amazing food. But the reality of life now is that we go to the grocery store and we buy things from mass production. So I am going to talk about digestive enzymes because they are so important. Young Living feels that they're so important that we have actually 5 different digestive enzymes. The 5th one is a children's chewable, but these are the 4 digestive enzymes for adults. Essential enzymes 4 are both to break down for people who eat meat, animal protein. So if you are eating animal protein, you want to make sure that you have essential enzymes or essential enzymes 4 on hand. Essential enzymes can be taken with or without food. Essential enzymes 4 is to be taken with a meal. And then Allerzyme and Detoxzyme are great for breaking down carbohydrates and our fruits and vegetables. But they're great for also for obviously for vegetarians because they don't have anything in them that's animal product. So we'll get more into that as time goes. But the other thing we need to replace in our body is stomach acid. And I think it's really interesting that the Western medicine has said, here, take this when you get heartburn, because we need to reduce your acid. But the reality is the opposite, is that we need to have more beneficial stomach acid so that we can break down our foods properly. So digestive enzymes and building healthy stomach acid is really important. So I use the abbreviation here, ACV. Hopefully everyone knows that that means apple cider vinegar. This is a great thing to drink daily. I have gotten into the habit of drinking warm water every single morning. The first thing I do after I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and then I have a glass of warm water with apple cider vinegar and citrus oils, and that's what I take my supplements with. So I drink an entire glass with it's a splash of apple cider vinegar. The rest is water. And I drink the whole glass with my supplements every single morning. And that helps to just get your good digestive enzymes going. It is fermented, by the way, apple cider vinegar. So there's other benefits to that, which is building the good bugs, the good probiotics in your body. So those are great ways to replace what we need in our body. Okay, the next step is repopulate. So repopulating is those good bacteria in our body, and prebiotics and probiotics are really important for that. So across the globe, we have Life 9, which is an amazing probiotic. It is such a great probiotic. I have people who've told me they've been on probiotics all their life, all these different kinds, but when they switched to Life 9, they saw a huge difference in their gut health. So Life 9 is specifically a probiotic, but Digest acts as a prebiotic for our body. So if you're someone who's really struggling, Digest should be on hand on the regular. A lot of people like to roll it on their stomach. I prefer to just put a drop under my tongue. I'm actually very used to it now. I used to think it was crazy hardcore to do that. But if you just keep your tongue up for a little bit, you really don't taste it very much. So I recommend trying that if you're someone who struggles with digestive issues. And then there's the kids probiotic, which is called Mighty Pro, which tastes amazing. So that is a great option. It can be taken by adults too. So sometimes I take that as my treat because it tastes really yummy. And actually, I think Danny there takes Mighty Pro, right, Danny? The other way to get good bacteria in your body is fermented foods. So I will share a link in the comments here. If you are not someone who's ever fermented before, it is so inexpensive and it is so easy. I highly recommend that you try to ferment your own food if you haven't yet. So I try to eat something fermented at least once a day. And I keep lots of ferments on hand, but always sauerkraut on hand because it's easy to throw on some scrambled eggs or on a salad or in a taco. So it's easy to have on hand, but really you can ferment just about anything. And there's tons of videos out there on how to ferment. I will say kombucha is a really popular fermented food, but it has a lot of sugar in it. And a lot of people who drink kombucha drink the whole bottle of kombucha. And that's really kind of a lot. It'll set people off. So just a little small warning on kombucha that if you drink it, just drink a little bit of it. You don't need a whole big bottle of it. Just as a fair warning, because some people get unbalanced if they drink too much of it. Okay, and then the next thing we want to talk about is how to restoring the spirit by controlling your stress levels and helping with your mood and emotions. And this is where essential oils play just such a beautiful role in this, because we can use oils in so many beautiful ways that don't damage. In fact, they benefit our flora and our gut, and they can help us in such beautiful ways. So I gave you some generalities on oils here because there's so many options and every single oil has different benefits emotionally. But in general, if you're feeling very flighty and flustered and like you just need to get your feet on the ground, your tree oils are such great oils to grab. So the king of all oils, frankincense, is, the first that comes to mind for many people. Cedarwood is another great option. Myrrh is a great option. If you have a spruce or a fir, any of those tree oils will help settle the jello, as I like to say with my children, settle your jello, right? So that's a great one to help settle the jello. Uplifting oils to just make you feel happy and enlightened. Any floral oil. So geranium is a great pick. Obviously this picture here, joy is, that is a blend of both citrus and floral oils. And the reason is they literally lift your frequency in your body, which by the way, we're doing a call on that next week. But they literally raise our frequencies to make us feel happier. And this is something that if you're new to oils and you're like, okay, whatever, I don't really believe that an oil can affect my emotions. That was kind of me when I started. I'm going to be honest. I like to see data and science and results in front of my eyes. And so I started reading about studies where they did brain scans of people and they had them smelling the oils and they watched the brain waves change. So these really do work. I can speak firsthand, many, many, many stories now on how oils have affected emotions in our lives. But Young Living has done such a beautiful job. Gary, the founder of Young Living, that he has named so many of these oils. So the blends, they have the names they have for a reason. So joy is a perfect example of that. Stress Away, which is known in South Africa as Haven, is another great example of that. So I would highly recommend looking through the oils and especially the blends because the names of them might really resonate with you. And then look for oils that are grounding and uplifting. And then I also want to mention there is an oil combination that has been deemed the Sunshine Capsule. So you can make a capsule with frankincense and lavender, or you can just put those two directly under your tongue. Sorry, frankincense and lemon, I meant to say, frankincense and lemon. Put them in a capsule or put them under your tongue directly. And this is a great way if you're really feeling worked up to really settle the jello, right? Make you feel calm and at peace and relaxed. So with that, I will open it up to any questions.